Ladies and gentlemen, this is the 12th and final round.
Right hand, Golovkin steps in and down he goes again. Unbelievable. Mayweather makes him pay. What a rookie mistake. A sensational left hook by De La Hoya.
It's facts. I'm the best. You know what I mean? Sometimes I don't want to believe it myself, but it's the truth. I'm the best. I'm going to show you how great I am.
From Southern California, this is the Last Round Podcast.
Okay. Third, fourth round, I don't know. We had to kick off Andrew McCart here of iFLTV for Eddie Hearn. So this is the second time we're doing this because
take two.
Andrew, you were on for what, 7 or 8 minutes, and then Eddie Hearn started walking over here.
Eddie Hearn came over and
get out of here. We got to
get out of here. Like you're bottom of the barrel. We just needed you for 2 seconds to kill some time. I was like, right, no worries, guys. I'll help you out.
But jumping into it, let's just get your immediate reaction to. You've been here the whole fight week for this Chavez Jr. Jacobs fight. Obviously, it was a wild night. Beer, shoes thrown into the ring.
Hot dogs, Pepsis.
Anything you can think of was thrown into that ring. Give us your take on it.
You know what? Before I talk about the hot dogs, the Pepsis, and the beer getting thrown in the ring, up until that point, it was probably like I think Eddie Hearn must have said it because he said it in my interview. I don't know if he said it in your podcast here. It's probably one of the best atmospheres I've ever experienced. In terms, there was a festival feel to it. There was a Mexican wave going around the arena.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There was singing. It was just like an absolute good vibe.
Right.
And then obviously the fight with Jacobs and Chavez didn't go the way us as fans wanted it to go. Like, listen, your health's more important than anything. And if Chavez felt like he couldn't continue, then fair play to him. But again, there's that no mask, that Mexican sort of pride and stuff like that, and the Mexican fans didn't like that,
right?
And they've shown their disapproval by throwing beers. Which listen, you've spent like $5 on a beer. Why are you wasting it?
Right.
Drink it.
Those aren't even $5 beers. Those are like $10
beers. And
the big one's like $15.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm Scottish, man. There's no way I would have wasted my beer throwing that in the ring. Not a chance. Not a chance.
So, we're talking about Mexican fans here in Phoenix, and they're obviously passionate fans. Obviously, you can see from yesterday. You're from Scotland, Andy.
Yes, mm-hmm.
Mike, my co-host, is originally from England. What's the difference in between the passion between both sides?
I don't think there's a difference between the passion of both sides because in England, Scotland, Ireland and Wales, the majority of the boxing fans that go to these shows know their boxing. They'll know Julio Cesar Martinez. They might know Christopher Rosales from fighting Paddy Barnes and Charlie Edwards. They'll know that, but some, like the bigger events, like a Joshua event, you get like maybe more casual fans. They just know who Anthony Joshua is.
Right.
They don't know the undercard fighters, stuff like that. But Mexican fans, they know their boxing. Same with the Irish fans. They know their boxing. Like you've been to Vegas a good few times.
Right.
They travel, whether it be with Ricky Hatton, with Carl Frampton.
Yeah, they do.
They bring the fans over because they're very, very knowledgeable boxing fans.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same with the Mexican fans. They know the stuff. They know what they like. They know what they don't like.
Right.
They know who they want to support. They know who they don't want to support, and they'll let you know about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So the passion, there's no difference in the passion side of things between the UK fans and the Mexican fans. I think if you were to get like a big name Irish guy or whatever and a big name Mexican guy, have it down in Mexico City, I think that would probably be one of the best shows in the world. Frampton Valdez, in Mexico.
Valdez,
can you imagine that?
So could be coming next year.
In Vegas as well. The Irish and the Mexican fans, passionate, they sing, they drink. You know what I mean? What is there not to love?
Right.
With that.
Right.
You know what I
And
mean?
then, speaking of obviously drinking, especially at boxing fights in the UK and the States, is people do it. They do it to have fun, to party, to go to the fights. You were just in Saudi Arabia.
No, that was I'm cooking in Saudi. I was in Dubai.
Oh, you went there?
Yeah, I was in Dubai.
Okay.
Is this similar?
So you couldn't drink there. Nobody can drink there.
No, nobody can drink. But Dubai's got a wee bit more relaxed laws. You can drink in the hotels. There is bars and stuff you can go to and drink. You just can't obviously walk with a beer down the street.
Right.
But there is nightclubs and bars, and obviously you can drink in the hotels.
Right.
Saudi Arabia, from what I've been speaking with cooking and all that as well, you can't do any of that stuff.
Right.
So but going with the matchroom people are saying and what Coogan and Numa are saying, they absolutely love Saudi Arabia.
Right.
You know what I mean? They've still got that party feel to it. They've still got that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're doing something. They're obviously trying to. I don't know if they're trying to change their image or whatever, but
yeah.
They're trying to build something in Saudi Arabia. Eddie Hearn seems happy with it. He's wanting to go back as soon as possible. So, and hopefully, maybe next year I'll get the opportunity to go and experience Saudi Arabia for myself.
How many cities have you been to in the last month? Because your schedule's obviously been hectic.
Last month, I've been to Dubai, Monte Carlo, and Phoenix within the last just under 4 weeks.
Man.
So,
how's your time clock? The internal time clock.
You can't swear, eh? Can you swear?
Yeah.
Fucked up. I think I said to you, like, I arrived on Monday. Tuesday morning, I was up at like 4 a.m, like wide awake, like just couldn't go back to sleep.
Right.
Obviously, my body clock's telling me it's 11 a.m.
Yeah.
Like it's late morning. It's time to get up. Wednesday was the same. So I've been taking little walks around Phoenix, and it was absolutely beautiful. There was such a quiet city. There was nobody on the sidewalks, the streets. There was no cars. Just me taking a nice wee stroll, nice little breeze around Phoenix Tuesday and Wednesday morning. The only painful thing about that is I had to wait till 6 a.m. for a coffee shop to open. So as soon as the coffee shops opened, I grabbed myself a coffee, got some breakfast. Excuse me. And that was what it was like basically up until fight day. Yesterday, I was up early again, taking little walks, waiting until a coffee shop opened, going to the coffee shop, grab my coffee,
right.
And then, but that's it. But being so close to Christmas, I know that I'm flying into time now, so I don't get home until Monday. Leaving on Saturday in Phoenix, but I don't get home till Monday with the travelling, the 2 flights, the layovers, driving up from London to Edinburgh in Scotland. So it's going to be a tough one, but
it's part of the job.
It's part of the job, and I'm not going to complain. I am not going to complain because this isn't work for me. I love boxing. I get to talk about boxing. I get to meet guys like you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
tall Mexicans.
Jeez, man. You do video? You film yourselves on this podcast?
Sometimes.
Like, you're 8'7". I don't care. You're not 6'7". You're 8'7". You're the biggest Mexican I've ever met in my life, and you missed out on an opportunity.
I did.
You could have been the first Mexican heavyweight champion.
I did. I could have been the first Andy Ruiz.
Exactly.
When Joel Miller dropped out, we actually put Danny forward.
What did you say?
I went to New York right after.
Show me the contract.
I went to New York right after. I was running the Matchroom offices. I did. I was in New York right after. Yeah.
You got the Matchroom offices at the Renaissance Hotel?
Yeah, I went there, but there was nobody there.
Yeah.
There was nobody there.
Yeah.
So, how long have you been with IFL now?
About 3.5 years.
And
it's 3.5 years. I think it was Mick Collins' debut. In 2000, maybe 2.5 years, 3 years, because it was Mick Collins' debut in 2016, 2017. Can't quite remember.
That was the first ever show you did for iFLTV?
No, that wasn't the show I done for iFLTV. No, the first show I did for iFLTV was Josh Taylor against Warren Joubert for the Commonwealth title. And that was after I came back from New York, was like that weekend after New York. So I bumped into Coogan and James Helder in New York. We had a good discussion. I've met them at shows, so we knew each other. We were just chatting away. They were like, so how did you get here? I said, I paid for this, paid for that. They're like, oh, do you know the Scottish guys? Do you know the Irish guys? I said, yeah. I said, well, why don't you come and work for us? Do bits and pieces for us. You can do Scotland and Ireland, maybe little bits of North England. And then that's that. And then obviously got myself a little camera. My first one was Josh Taylor. Know my intro, like Andrew McCart, iFLTV in association with MTK Global. You know how many takes it took me to do that? On my first interview with Josh Taylor? I mumbled that up about easily 12 times. I was like, my name's Andrew McCart, right? Andrew, do it again. Right, Andrew McCart, what is it, IFL first or MTK? Right, Andrew McCart. So I've screwed it up like 12 times. So, but I'm quite a natural. I think I'm a natural at it now.
Does MTK notice when you guys don't say it? Like, do they get like, hey, you guys aren't saying it?
I don't think so. No, but I think it just comes natural now when you're doing the interviews. Like, it's just one of the things I go, right, are you ready? Right, Andrew McCart, iFLTV in association with MTK Global. I'm here in Phoenix. With me, I've got the tallest Mexican in the whole world. I've got an English guy living in LA. It's like, what's going on? You know what I mean? So it comes natural. Sometimes if something's happening in the crowd or something's happening between two fighters and you film it, obviously you're not going to say your introduction.
Right.
You know, so you're just going to film what's in front of you. If there's an altercation between two fighters or whatever, you quickly turn your camera on. You're not going to sit there and go, Andrew McCart filming an altercation between. You know, so. As long as you've got the interviews and you're doing everything like that, then and you're making sure your intro's out, I think that's good enough.
How did you get into the IFL team? I mean, you got in there 3.5 years ago. You said the Mick Collins fight or around that general time. Like, how did you come about getting in there?
Well, I've met Coogan and James Held at the time. It shows, and like I said, it was just like bumping into them at shows, giving them high fives, saying this, that, the next thing. And I had as Michael Shepherd would tell you, I started a little website of my own called firstclassboxing.com. So we would write articles and stuff like that. Michael came on board. He was a busy little writer. How did you find First Class Boxing?
Go ahead.
I just googled boxing websites and then scrolled down, and then there you were.
How was the editor for that website? Was he all right? The editor?
Yeah, the editor was good, and then IFL just grew up and he disappeared.
Yeah, just disappeared.
Well, I mean, since you touched on that, let's give a minor backstory of last night.
Last night, right.
So we got into town. Mike and I got into town here in Phoenix. And, we saw you at the fights, and you came over and said hi, and then you were enamored by not just his height, but my height.
Your height, yeah.
You're surrounded around here.
Yeah, because you intimidate me, because you were on my left side, Mike, and you were on my right side. And I'm like 5'9", 5'10". Like, you're well over, you're probably 6'3", 6'4". You're 6'7".
Yeah.
And you were standing either side of me, and I'm like, geez, man, check the size of these boys. So I was quite intimidated. Not intimidated, but I felt like, can you at least sit down? Sit down and stop towering over me. So, yeah, so that was the sort of like, we introduced each other, we said hi and stuff like that. Then, after the fights, we went out for a couple of beers, or a couple of Guinnesses for me. And it took me, when you told me your name was, you said you used to work for me, and I was like, what? I've not seen you on iFLTV. I was so confused. And
it was like hours later already.
This is like we've already
like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Exactly. Yeah. So you said, I used to work for you, and I'm like, work for me? I was like, I've never seen you on iFLTV. I'm trying to rack my brain, and you're like, First Class Boxing. I was like, Michael Shepherd. I remember you now. So it was one of the moments where I was like, just being an idiot, It was like, how did I not put 2 and 2 together? But I blame. Hey, I'm just learning from you.
Eddie Holmes strolling past.
Yeah, strolling past,
and it was just criticizing me. Yeah, but it was just one of the moments where I should have put 2 and 2 together, but I didn't.
The whole night we thought, oh yeah, he knows.
He knows, yeah. No, I didn't.
And months worth of DMs that he used to answer. I thought he knew.
No, that was just being friendly. That was just being friendly, because you guys are obviously doing your thing. You're trying to build your podcast, trying to build a brand here, and obviously retweets and likes and stuff like that on Twitter, Instagram, whatever, help build the brand for people. And you asked me, can you please retweet my podcast? And I do it. I mean, this was one of the things. Like I'd done that with First Class Boxing. I mean, get people to help retweet and blah blah blah. Every little helps.
Yeah, that's true.
So how do you guys decide? Because there's people. Obviously, you guys have a big fan base, a big audience on IFL TV. I think you guys might have the most subscribers in terms of a boxing.
I think.
Are you guys more than like Fight Hub?
Fight Hub have more.
Do they?
Yeah, Fight Hub have. I think they have. We're slowly catching. I think Fight Club are in the 600,000 subscriber mark. We're
just under.
We're just under that. Yeah.
558 or something when we were checking.
560 odd now. Yeah.
Are you guys more than Ellie?
Yeah, we're more than Ellie.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys are in the middle in between both of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
But for a European platform, we're big.
Right.
Definitely quite big.
So Mike was telling me like a while ago, obviously, that you guys got the idea, or Coogan got the idea from Ellie, because Ellie was already doing it over here stateside, and there was nobody really who was doing that over there in the UK.
Well, Coogan always says that the original, like he was OG or whatever you want to call it, is Ellie.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was Ellie, he started it, and Coogan, I wouldn't say he stole the idea, but he thought it'd be a good idea to maybe do it his side. He gives Ellie props when he sees him and stuff like that. And he does mention, when people say, oh, Coogan, you're the original, he'll say, no, the original's Ellie. He's done this, I didn't do this. So Coogan always gives Setback his dues and respect that he deserves, because he was there last night, Ellie Setback, and he was filming the riots, and he came over to me and he was like, right, Andy, what's your thoughts on this? I was like, I love it. Absolutely love it. I love the atmosphere, whether it be like, I'm not condoning violence.
Of course not.
Definitely not condoning that side of things, but it wasn't as bad as it was pints and drinks and stuff like that coming on. Right. It wasn't like chairs and stuff like that going in the ring and stuff like that, and there was only maybe the odd scuffle in the crowd. Not everybody was fighting, so all in all, it wasn't too bad. Like, Michael, you must know, UK shows, they can get a bit wild if the crowd.
A few of those Frank Warren shows with all the
exactly, you said it, not me.
Billy Joe Saunders, Tyson Fury, all those families together.
So it's it was fun last night. I really that was my first time in a majority Mexican audience in the crowd, and like I said, the passion was second to none. I absolutely loved it. So
how big is the team? It's you, Umar, Coogan,
and Oscar.
So how do you guys decide? I know we talked about this off air, but to our listeners, how do you guys decide who goes to which shows?
Well, it seems Coogan and Umar, they take the big shows together. They partner up when it comes to like an AJ show or a KSI Logan Paul in LA. And because the travelling side of things, people think, you travel the world and you're staying in this hotel and you get to talk boxing. But again, the travelling side of things does, like Eddie on the No Context turn, is like, my back's killing me, I'm on planes all the time. But again, I'm not complaining because there's no way that I'm complaining about this job. I'm not. But the travelling side of things does kick fuck out of you, you know what I mean? It really, really, you're tired and stuff like that. But then, that's the only downside. So when Coogan and Umar come home and it's like maybe a Phoenix show because they came back from Saudi Arabia like this, they'll send me to this, like Dallas. I went to Dallas, I went to New York, Haney, because they were somewhere else, or Coogan was somewhere. But the shows are like all the time now. There's either US shows, UK shows, Dubai, whatever. Do you know what I mean? So there's always sort of work for us all. I think Oscar is yet to do an away day. He's yet to experience the American side of the I wouldn't say business or whatever you want to call it, the industry. So hopefully in 2020 we can see Oscar.
He's the newest one to the team, right?
Yeah, he's the newest one. Just I think he's only 21 years old.
Right.
So him and Umar, 21, 22. Me and Coogan are the
seniors.
Well, seniors. Yeah, I like that. I was going to say the old gets, but the seniors work better for me. So. It flows. It's not like if we want to do a show, we'd ask for a show.
Right.
Like I want to do St. Patrick's Day, McCollin St. Patrick's Day show, so I'll probably ask Coogan for that. But this is the way it is. Yeah.
So Coogan
ultimately, Coogan has to say.
Absolutely. Yeah. So he mentioned in an interview recently with Eddie Hearn that his name actually isn't pronounced Coogan.
Kuhan.
It's Kuhan, right?
Kuhan, yeah.
So like a lot of people were surprised about that. I think even Eddie Hearn, when he was just like, "What is it really?" Yeah. Like he was very surprised about it.
We've known him for 9 years now. 9 years. 2010 was sort of like the first one. So for him to not know, I didn't even know that, to be honest. I didn't know it was Kuhan. I thought it was obviously Coogan because if you see how it's spelled, it is Kugan.
Right.
Kugan.
Right.
For us, but there must obviously be a sort of twang in Sri Lankan.
Is it more for like a marketing thing? For like Coogan Cassius is obviously flows off the tongue a little bit.
Name, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you think about like a cool name,
it flows off the tongue.
It does roll. Coogan Cassius.
Yeah.
It just rolls. You're right. It's like, and it is obviously the name Cassius. That's synonymous with boxing with Cassius Clay. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So the fact that he's got that name as well, and it's Coogan, just sounds like it's just an easy word to say.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? He's made it. He's made it. Do you know what I mean?
So, Andy, can you just describe to us the glitz and the glamour of a fight week?
The glitz and the glamour.
I wouldn't call it glitz and glamour. Like I think I said this when you cut me off when Eddie came. Like there is glitz and glamour. Like I'm staying in a nice hotel. You know that, and we get to rub shoulders with like boxers and maybe some celebrities. Mickey Rourke was there last night. Guys like Freddie Roach, blah blah blah. You get to rub shoulders with these guys. So there's that side of things. But even though I'm here by myself and it's a big fight week, I'm interviewing, uploading, editing, interviewing, so I don't get to see the city as much and stuff like that. I see the bright lights and do the touristy things that maybe most people do. Again, I'm not complaining. For people listening to it, I'm not complaining. I'm actually so happy that I'm doing this job. And but the glitz and the glamour, I get to rub shoulders with some big names in the sport, which is always obviously fun and enjoyable. I might get the odd free Guinness or whiskey or whatever that is, but other than that, that's probably it. It's fun. I'll say it's more fun than obviously the glitz and the glamour, and more fun to meet these guys. Even meeting, I mean, you guys are just, you're in your jeans, you're in your, what's that, Converse trainers, ripped jeans, hoodies, baseball caps. I mean, there's no glamour here.
Right.
There's no glitz.
Yeah. We're not in suits or anything right now.
We're not in suits with your Rolexes and stuff like that. So
you get assigned to events by yourself. Is that just because you're twice as good as Coogan and Umar?
See, I like you, Michael. I wouldn't say I'm twice as good. I would probably say like maybe
3 times as good.
Yeah, 3 or 4 times as good as
you're just a one-man recording studio.
That's you know it. You know it, my friend. No, Coogan and Umar, I think we've all got each different style. Like I think you mentioned it to me last night, Michael. I've got more of a sort of jokey. So I can ask the tough questions and stuff like that. But if it's like a fighter, I know I like to have a conversation, have a good chat with him. Umar's quite a. He's quite he looks quite. He's got a professional feel about Umar nowadays. Like he does when he asks his questions. When I listen to Umar's interviews, he does have a professional feel about him. Coogan's got that because he's got a big relationship with like 99% of the guys out there in the boxing world. I mean, he's got a he's built up them relationships over the years. So with Eddie Hearn, you can see that sort of friendship with him and Eddie. Even now Frank Warren, now majority of fighters, Anthony Joshua. I mean, the access he gets by Anthony Joshua because he's a friend of Anthony Joshua's, like, it's just crazy. And to be fair to Coogan, he's done it all. Like Eddie said to me yesterday, he said we were talking about the year end and how busy it's been and stuff like that. He's like, Coogan, you know what I mean? It's like people look at Coogan, but we got to give him his due. He busts his ass. You know, he travels, he does this, and he makes sure he jumps in his own car sometimes to get interviews and just drives. You know what I mean? For hundreds of miles just to get one interview. So he's putting the work and fair play to him.
You said something good last night when we were talking to you about some of the tips that you give to people who ask you about being a reporter, about how that you actually don't go in with structured questions. Yeah. You kind of just go in, start a conversation, and kind of jump off the last thing somebody said. If you want to kind of explain that. Yeah,
so I get asked quite a lot. Well, not quite a lot, but sometimes if a young guy's in a press conference and he says, "Oh, Andy, I like your stuff, blah blah blah." He says, "Oh, can you give me any tips on like how to do interviews?" And I'm like, I've never done a journalist career degree or anything like that in university. Never done any sort of like journalistics. Like when I started first class boxing, I had to get my wife to bloody do my grammar and my spell check and stuff like that when I released my first article. So, but I try and have a conversation. Like I always have the first question I want to ask, and then I'll have a conversation with the guy. Sometimes with Eddie Hearn, like if there's so much going on, like if Dillian White's been made mandatory, and then also news had broke that Jarrell Miller's been done with a drug test, but then Kell Brook's got a new fight date, and there's so much going on within that week before Eddie Hearn's had an interview. You've got to go into Eddie Hearn and you've got to have a structured sort of thing, because you've got to remember to speak to Eddie about A, B, C, D, and E, the points that have happened that week. But when it comes to like a fighter, he's only got one fight on. I just sort of like go in with one question and just let him answer it, and just sort of like have a conversation, just roll off his answer and just keep rolling over each answer he gives me and just ask the question relevant to that answer, and like just have a conversation, because it's quite good. You don't want to say, all right, so for example, you don't want to say, oh, so you're fighting this guy, how does it feel? And he'll give you the answer, and then you're like, yeah, so what's your favourite supermarket? You know what I mean? It's like it's so broken up and so weird, and it's too structured, and I don't like that. Do you know what I mean? Hey, each to their own, mind you, but I like having I try and have a conversation. I try and let the interview flow, and maybe have a little joke, a laugh, so you can see the human aspect of the fighter. Because you know yourself, when you watch NFL games, a reporter, and you watch soccer games back home, you know yourself. It's like the reporter goes, it's just structured questions all the single time. Same generic answers from the guys, same generic questions, ssame generic answers, same generic questions.
Robotic.
Week in, week out, it's robotic, yeah. So at least with the boxers, you get to see a little bit of their personality. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's what makes boxing different in terms of the sport is different. It's a lonely sport. There's so many characters in the game. And then, like you said, the media, the access that we get is different from NFL, basketball, hockey, soccer, whatever, you know. So it's I try and have a conversation with the guys I speak to, and that's what I'm trying to do now.
How many interviews would you say you've done now in the 3.5 years?
Oh, thousands.
Really?
Thousands, easily thousands. I probably do about 100 a month. I only started sort of like my little notepads in my bag started in January, so 100 a month from January. That's 1,200 on average. The interviews I've done sort of from, but that's on average. Sometimes I go over 100 interviews. You know, Umar and Coogan, gosh, I don't know what they must be doing twice as much as me, because they're quite busy down in London. So I would say it's well into maybe 5 figures now. Five figure interviews I've done probably.
So you're now full time, aren't you, Andy?
Yes, sir.
Are you all full time? Is Umar and Oscar?
Oscar and Umar, they go to university. Oscar's studying a degree in business, I think. Oscar's, to be honest, I don't know. I met Oscar once. When to be honest, all four of us haven't been in the same room until September this year. We done a podcast, IFL podcast. That was the first time that I met. Well, I've obviously knew Coogan and Umar, but for the fact that all four of us, because obviously we're at different shows, I'm up in Scotland, that was the first time we'd all been in the same room together. So, but I don't know what Oscar's studying, but obviously Coogan's full time, and the two younger ones in university studying degrees.
And you were a biologist before this?
I was in the army,
Right.
British Army before. Then when I left the army, I became sort of like a window washer, window cleaner.
Right.
And then after that, I joined a company called Ecolab. It's a huge American company, and I became a pest control technician.
Right.
Just chasing rats, mice, pigeons, seagulls around premises, and then I sort of like moved up in the company and became a biologist, which is you sort of like learn the sort of ins and outs of like the biology of obviously rats, mice, pigeons, seagulls, wasps, insects, flies. But then my company, they were giving out redundancies. I took my redundancy and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to jump at this head first, the IFL stuff. Obviously, thank you to Coogan for this, and just sort of like went for it.
When was that? When did you do that? When did you make the decision?
It's been a year. So I worked full time as a biologist and still sort of done bits and pieces for iFLTV.
Right.
But the thing with being a biologist is that you can sort of like, it wasn't a 9 to 5 sort of job. I could sort of like work from home at some points and sometimes. So whenever Coogan said, "Oh, can you do the press conference in Leeds?" I'd make sure I'm working from home, or I'll make sure I've not got a client booked in that day to go like to some huge factory. I'll sort of like reschedule it so I can go down to the press conference. So it kind of worked out. It was a good job because both of them just sort of like amalgamated together, and it was just they worked together, the biologist and the.
It's a good balance.
It was a very good balance, yeah. But then when the company gave me my redundancy, I was like, you know what? I love boxing. I love talking boxing. I love meeting guys in the sport. So I'm just going to just dive in head first and just see where it takes me.
I know we asked you this off air, and you said you probably couldn't pick one, but maybe the first couple most memorable interviews you've ever done.
Most memorable interviews I've ever done is probably my very first big show. Was the Belfast show, but Carl Frampton was fighting Luke Jackson at Windsor Park, and Tyson Fury was fighting on it. But Wilder came across to Belfast, and all that ruckus in the hotel, and then within the space of like 12 hours, I interviewed Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, and I got their opinion on what happened and the opinion on what's going to happen in their first fight if they fight, and it was cool. Deontay Wilder was cool as hell, man. Like, he was shouting "Bomb Squad," and you know, him and his friends were there in the sort of conference room in the hotel, and they were just so welcoming, so funny, and like they made me feel like it wasn't like a tense atmosphere. No, I mean, they were joking and having a laugh, which was good for me. And then obviously Tyson Fury's bloody Tyson Fury. You know what I mean? He's just a funny dude, man. He just does what he wants. You know what I mean? He just walks up, does whatever he wants, and yeah, man, he's a cool guy. So that's probably the most memorable things, because it was my first big show and the first two big fighters in the game that I interviewed.
Was there anybody maybe when you first started out that you were in kind of nervous to interview?
Eddie Hearn.
Eddie Hearn, because you knew you needed a good one?
Eddie Hearn, because my first interview with Eddie Hearn, I went up to him and I said to him, "Eddie, can I grab an interview with you for IFL later?" Right? And he went, "Yeah, let's do it now." I was like, "What?"
You weren't prepared.
I wasn't prepared. No, this is the thing. So I was like, okay. So as you see my camera now, I've got a small sort of Sony A6 300, right? It's a nice compact camera, very, very good camera. But I have a monopod. So I'm obviously, like I said, I'm 5'10", maybe. So I have a monopod. So I hold the camera up. So I'm speaking to somebody like your size, Danny, like you're 6'7". I've got my monopod, so I don't have to lift my arm up. Do you know what I mean? And I can hold it there. And my camera's at least head height. So I had this sort of like, I think it was a Nikon, whatever it was a heavy camera, but I've got to hold it up above my head to interview Eddie, and you've just had Eddie on your podcast. The guy can talk, and Eddie was talking and my shoulder was caving in. I was worried about my next question. I mean, the pressure was on. I felt like my heart was beating at my chest. I was like, why? It's just Eddie Hearn. But the fact that he just threw me off guard when I said, "Can I get an interview with you later?" I was expecting to go on Twitter and find out what happened that day and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, okay, no worries, let's do it now. I was like, oh, fuck.
So would you say you were starstruck?
Was he starstruck? Maybe a little bit, yeah. Maybe a little bit. But it was just sort of like, because you see Eddie Hearn on Sky Sport, you see him with Coogan and stuff like that, and obviously he doesn't know me from Adam. I mean, it's like, you know yourself when you're trying to grab Eddie Hearn, you're trying to like sell yourself a little bit. You're trying to say, "Oh, we got a podcast last round, You're trying to make him feel like, oh, it's worth his while, so to speak. So when I was like IFL, I had to go over to him and say, I'm IFL, you know, try to keep that in his face. So, but yeah, I would say a little bit starstruck, but that was the first time like I was really, really nervous. It was the first time interviewing Eddie Hearn. But see, now it's like you realise yourself that Eddie will give you, like I said to him, everyone thinks he's a dick. He probably is a dick, man, but I don't know. But, he's cool as hell. Like, he gives everyone the same amount of time, like, whether it be IFL, whether it be yourselves or a guy that's only got 200 subscribers on YouTube. He'll give that guy the same amount of time as he does IFL Last Round podcast. He'll give the same amount of enthusiasm, the same amount of time, the same answers with the same passion for whoever he's talking to, which is good to see.
Would you say he's the easiest interview in the sport?
By far. I mean, you can ask Eddie. You can probably go with structured questions for Eddie. But Ed, you ask one question, but Eddie just talks and talks and talks. But then he'll give you the answer to your second question because he's talked so much. Then he'll drift off and talk on something else. And he's answered your third question. He's answered your fourth question. Answered your fifth question. And by the time you're like, Mike, you've just answered all my questions. You know, you just come up with anything. You know what I mean? Just so you can keep the conversation going. But yeah, you probably had an easy. I don't know. I didn't see the whole podcast with Eddie, but I was over there having a burger and chips. But you've probably seen yourself how easy it was to speak to Eddie.
Absolutely.
You know, he just talks, he just sits and chills and relaxes and gives you conversation. Conversation. He doesn't ever give anyone a one word answer.
Right.
He's not blunt like that. Do you know what I mean? Which is refreshing.
You said a one word answer. So who's the most difficult interview you've ever had?
Great question, Mike.
Great question, Mike. Great question, Mike.
Michael Shepard.
I can't really put my finger on it, but I will say it's probably maybe a young fighter coming through. I can't probably name anyone because I'm trying to think. It's probably a young fighter. Like I remember Ray Ford.
Who just fought the weekend?
Yeah, he's fought last night. I can probably use him as an example. My first interview with him was I'd ask him a question and he would be like, because he's so shy, he was looking directly at the camera. He hadn't been had the cameras in his face before, so he's like, you ask him a question, he goes, yeah, I'm ready. And you go, okay, all right, okay, so you're ready. So how's training camp gone? It's gone good. No, because he's not used to it now. But now, me and Ray have become absolutely great friends. And now, so like his conversation has a good conversation with me now. Like I'm going to put my interview with Ray up on IFL in the next hour. So you'll see from that the conversation we have now. If you compare the first interview I had with Ray to now, you'll see a big difference, huge difference.
Back to the nervous question, where was Adam Booth sit on that? Because I was asking you about him because you were saying before you weren't even in for the first time. He kind of looked to you and was like, "Hey, make it a good interview."
No, he didn't say make it a good one. He said, "Don't make it a shit one."
There you go.
Yeah. So Adam Booth he's like a mad scientist. Do you know what I mean? He's a cool guy. I like him a lot. He's my dad because we look alike. Two bald guys with a little bit of grey in their beard. So when I sat down with Adam on Tuesday, I believe it was, I said, this is my first interview with you, Adam. Like, I'm looking forward to this. He went, don't make it a shit one. And when you ask him a question, it's sort of like, he will look at you, and he'll sort of like, and if you give him a shit question, he'll just be like, shake his head as if to say, that was a shit question.
So it's going to get a shit answer?
Yeah, so you'll get like the worst answer. But he sometimes, he'll answer your question with a question, which puts you on the spot. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? He flips the script on you when you just want an answer. Like, so you'd be like, "Oh, how did Josh Kelly do?" And he'd be like, "Josh Kelly went well, but the thing is, it's what other people see. So how do you think Josh Kelly did?" And you're like, "No, I asked the questions. You answer the questions." But you see them. You met him last night. He's a funny guy.
He's a lot different away from the cameras.
Exactly, he's a lot different. He's very, very funny and. He's a cool guy. I like Adam a lot. He's like I say he's a mad scientist, man. He's just one of the eccentric. Like he doesn't give you a straight answer, man. But it keeps you on your toes, which is good. It's refreshing, I think.
So with your experience doing so many interviews, thousands of interviews a year, obviously the person, like we spoke to Eddie Hearn earlier, I had the conversation with him. The person who's in the shadows, who nobody ever gets to talk to, besides his close confidants, is Al Heyman. If you can only ask Al Heyman one question, what would it be?
If I can ask Al Heyman one question.
Like just one. He says, you can only ask me one and we're done.
Why are you not letting your welterweights fight Terence Crawford? That's probably the most recent question, but then I'll probably want to know his background. I would like to know where he came from. But this present moment, I want to know why he isn't he doesn't recognise the WBO. He isn't recognising Terence Crawford as a champion. He isn't recognising the fact that he wants to fight Errol Spence and all the PBC guys, and he's not going to do it. And that's what's frustrating for fans. He's not only I think he might be selfish in that aspect, because it's the fans that want to see Spence against. Obviously, Spence is we know what happened to Spence in the summertime there, but we want to see the fight. The fans do, and we don't control the sport, but it's all about the fans in boxing. Do you know what I mean? We pay for the tickets, we pay for the subscriptions, we pay for the pay-per-view, we do it all to help support, keep the sport alive. So the fact that he ain't doing it, I think it's a selfish move from Al. So if you're hearing this, Al, come and get me on my iFLTV, and let me ask that question.
You work for iFLTV, but you also said obviously you're a big boxing fan. Who are the names that you want to interview, that you're looking forward to?
I've never interviewed Anthony Joshua.
What? Really?
Yeah, really. Yeah, I've never interviewed Anthony. I've interviewed.
Does Coogan take that?
No, because you was interviewed Joshua.
Really?
I've never had the opportunity.
You've never, out of all these.
I've never.
Really?
I've been in.
I'm surprised about that.
I've been in the same spot as Joshua. I've been and all that sort of stuff, but I've never interviewed him.
Wow.
So, probably Joshua and Mike Tyson, man. I would love to just, because Mike back in the day, like, he wasn't very articulate, but now he's gotten older. He's very, very articulate. I think you can have he's very, very spiritual now and stuff like that. And I think you'd get a good conversation going with. If you get obviously you've got to get Mike Tyson on the right day, a good day. So I think Mike Tyson would be absolutely brilliant if I had the opportunity to sit down and just talk about his career from when he was 15 all the way up to this day, and have a proper sit down with him. I would love that. Absolutely love that.
Or Eddie Hearn having a proper sit down with Mike Tyson. I think that would be a good conversation.
On Eddie's podcast, if he does another one.
I don't think we had it recorded, but he seems like he doesn't want to do it anymore. He says it's a lot of work.
Yeah, but he's busy.
Yeah, he's busy.
Like, it was his schedule, wasn't it? He said he got 3 done like straight away, and then they were wanting to do one like, the next week and the next week, and he's kind of like, I'm away. So he's just a busy guy. I'm sure he's not in the same spot for very long.
No, he's not like I say, he's busy in terms of, like, he's got to do the shows, but then again he's got media obligations.
Yeah.
I mean, he's due to fly home, but he's still jumping about doing. But you've seen him doing business meetings and blah blah blah. He's talking to yous and stuff. So yeah, he is a busy man. So I don't know. I enjoy this podcast, to be honest.
Yeah. No, he could talk, obviously.
Yeah.
So, one last question. I don't know if Mike has one more, but since you've been in the game for quite a while and done thousands of interviews over your period in the sport, to the up-and-coming reporters, boxing reporters, or even just sports reporters in general, what would your advice be to them?
I think I said it to you. Is just keep going. Keep doing the content. Keep working. You might be burning money right now, and you might be thinking, I'm not getting anywhere with this, blah blah. But it's all about just keeping your brand, your name in people's ears, in their mouths. Just keep going with it. Like, don't think, it's been a year now, I'm not getting anywhere. I'm not getting any traction. I mean, it just takes one. It just takes one interview or whatever, one video or one article that just people just go to, and it attracts them, and it just takes off. That's all it takes. Like, First Class Boxing, started that on my own.
Right.
Paul Webb, then he left, and then it was just me, and then I started building up, and I had like 8 writers. I just done it all by myself, and a guy called Michael Shepherd came on. There he is.
I came on board and it finished.
Is that? Yeah. You made me quit. Yeah, so I'll just say keep going, man. Keep grinding, keep working. Like, it goes for yourself, you and Michael. Just keep going at it, man. I mean, you've took time out to actually drive the 5 hours or whatever it is from SoCal, LA to Phoenix, and that's the work. And it'll come good one day, definitely.
So, do you have a boxing bucket list? Some things you want to achieve whilst working for iFLTV, whether it be reporting from Madison Square Gardens or doing a Joshua in Saudi Arabia.
I'd probably want to do something, maybe not like Joshua in Saudi Arabia. I'm not going to say like Thrill in Manila and the Rumble in the Jungle, but something so far-fetched like a Joshua in Saudi Arabia, something that has never been done before, and I get to do it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Josh Taylor in Vegas.
I'll do that. I'll do that. Don't worry about that. I'll definitely do that. But I want it like in some random spot in the world that's never been. The market's not like the boxing market isn't there. I don't know, something like that. You know what I mean?
So it's because it's a one-off.
Yeah, it's a one-off. Like either it be in Pakistan or I don't know, like Sri Lanka where Coogan's from, or someplace in Africa again, or South America, Brazil, Argentina, Bolivia. Anywhere like that, as long as something's so far out that it's never had a boxing show before, but two huge stars are going at it, I would love to do that. Because there's journalists that went to Thrill in Manila and the Rumble in the Jungle, you know what I mean? And it's just, they've got that cool story to tell their grandkids. And I think that's what I would like to do maybe one day.
Well, Joshua's kind of said he'd love to do one because he's Nigerian descent.
He's Nigerian descent.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
So, later down the line, maybe when he retires, get some kind of really big fight there.
Joshua has said that he wants to fight in Africa, whether that be Nigeria, Ghana, or whatever, South Africa. He has said that he wants to fight in Africa. And I think, Joshua's a superstar, so I think wherever he goes, the fans go. So
whatever he says.
Whatever he says, yeah. You know what I mean? He's his own boss now. You know what I mean? Eddie says that. Eddie says I work for Joshua. So there you go.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Well, Mike, I don't know if you have anything else.
No. Well, thanks for your time, Andy.
No, probably. Yeah, listen.
Andrew McCart. He wants to go be Andrew. Call him Andy. Andrew.
That's all right. It's okay. So good. I want to say thank you for you guys as well, and an absolute pleasure meeting you last night. I had a good time.
Even though it took you a couple hours to know who Mike was.
Yeah, no, I knew who he was. This was just all for I planned all this just for the podcast,
for the entertainment factor.
I'm all about the entertainment. I knew who he was. But thank you for everything that you've done, and thank you for inviting me on your podcast. I enjoyed it.
And we'll see you in February.
See you at the fights.
Definitely. See you in Vegas, guys.
See you on the fights. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for supporting and listening to the show. Follow us at The Last Round 12 on social media. Rate, review, and subscribe. This is The Last Round Podcast.